What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk to you about SoundHound. I want to go over some expectations for this upcoming week, what might cause some volatility in the stock price, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up, and with that, let's get right to it. So starting off with data points, we do have a lot of big data coming out that could move the market. Starting off on Wednesday, you have CPI, on Thursday, PPI, and then on Friday, Michigan consumer sentiment. All have really and dramatically shown that they can move the market. So those are going to be some points to really watch for. Aside from that, though, you do also have some big companies, kind of more meme stocks, coming out with their earnings. And so essentially, I'm kind of calling this as a catalyst for SoundHound only because it is heavily shorted. So for instance, if GameStop does have a pretty kick-ass earnings, then you could see obviously shorts across the board starting to mitigate risk. We saw this a couple times over the last few years. So again, that is something to be aware of. So Tuesday after hours. And then last but not least, this one is more of a question mark. I personally do not know how the market is going to interpret all this. So we did have on Thursday the whole back and forth between Elon and Trump. Market didn't like it. Market didn't like the uncertainty. Somewhat more of a recovery on Friday, but there is more to it that's somewhat coming out. So over the weekend, Musk did delete all those kind of interesting tweets. Obviously, it's already out in the internet. A lot of people have screenshots, but essentially, he did delete them. And it does look like a lot of it did stem from Trump coming out and tweeting, saying that there's going to be serious problems for Musk if obviously he does continue. So this is, I believe, Elon's kind of taking a step back because he doesn't want the repercussions of Trump. Again, it's kind of hard to interpret exactly how this is going to play out, but moral of the story is that it looks like Trump and Elon are officially like broken up. And maybe this might have not just been some crazy hoax, but even there's a lot more things coming out on potentially Elon's black eye. So the market's going to be trying to digest all of this and what this does truly mean, because you have two individuals that are relatively powerful for different various reasons. Elon with his money and his businesses, Trump being president, and they obviously have a big swing in the market. So you're going to have the market really torn on what this means for Tesla, for growth stocks, for everything. So you're going to have a lot of volatility. So just somewhat be aware of that. Specific to SoundHound, though, they've been posting quite a lot of things that they're at these all these conferences. They're not doing any fireside chats anymore. I've noticed that. And I kind of started to think about why. Why have they started to do all of these kind of really big conferences, but not really doing any of these fireside chats? And in my opinion, the reason why they are doing that is they're actually trying to focus on building their customer base rather than satisfying shareholders, if that kind of makes sense. Because honestly, for them to do fireside chats, I think that's just more so to appease institutional and also retail investors. To actually get customers, you need to have these booths. So I think they're doing the right thing. Coming from an investor standpoint, it is relatively difficult because we're not really getting that much information from them as much as I feel like we would really like. So as far as some expectations from them for this upcoming week, not really all that much. But aside from that, going into this week, 32.35% of the free float is being shorted. Works out to be 118.1 million shares overall being shorted. Cost to borrow average fairly low, 1.41. On Friday, shorts did increase 296,000 shares. And you can kind of generally see ever since the bottom on May the 19th, shorts have started to really double down. So they do feel, for various reasons, possibly specific to SoundHound or on a macro standpoint, that SoundHound's going to be going down. That's kind of how they are seeing it as. So let me know your viewpoint on that. But like I said, with some good data points coming out in the second half of the week, and also possibly some meme stocks, GameStop having their good earnings, that could really push SoundHound higher through just shorts mitigating risk. So just be somewhat aware of that. Aside from that though, with it closing at above that $10 mark, that means the $10 and below strike prices are in the money. So you have 6,000 at that 10, and then 2,000 at 950, and then 1,000 at 9. Ultimately, you're not going to see any gamma squeeze or any bump up on Monday because of this. And it looks as though the after hours activity from Friday looks like market makers kind of covered those in the money options. So again, you're not really going to see any bump up in the price. So it is going to be largely at the mercy of the broader market. A couple of key points to really watch for though, with it at 10.11, it is currently trading between this pivot and this S1. So 985 is going to be a strong support. Flip side, 1052 is going to be the next strong target / resistance. So similar to what happened on Friday, extreme volatility, and even on Thursday, I anticipate that to happen pretty much every single day this week. So if you are a day trader, this one might be for you and many others out there. But if you are a investor and you want to possibly average down, just orient it around a lot of these support points. So 985, 944, and then 878. Again, if you're wanting to average down, get a good deal, and so forth. So just kind of watch for a lot of those. Aside from that, no new analyst ratings or any articles coming out. So it is going to be merely at the mercy of the broader market. On the actual chart itself, because of Friday, it was able to get above the ALMA, but still wedge bound between this 100 and also this 200-day moving average. So just kind of watch for those. 1063 is going to be that 100-day moving average, and then 974 is going to be that 200. So just kind of watch for that. Ultimately, it did bounce off of that 200, so we do know that's a good support level, same as that 50 that was tested on June the 5th. So SoundHound does have a lot of good support levels, but it is very frustrating for long investors just to see it go up and down, almost like swinging 7-8% in one day. Is kind of crazy, but bigger picture, I think it will do fairly well. And with that new addition to the ETF, I don't believe that there was a definitive date other than just a vague end of Q3 or possibly Q4. That's, I believe, what Daniel Ives did mention. That should add a lot of extra liquidity to SoundHound and hopefully stabilize the price a little bit more. So again, that's hopefully coming sooner rather than later. And then as well, going into this upcoming week, stochastic RSI is considered very oversold. So at the end of the day, with some good data, I do anticipate that to really benefit and benefit from that. But aside from that, I do personally feel by the end of this week, it will be close to that pivot point. So that 1052, given the data points, that could be that X factor and X catalyst to really push it above that between this R1 and the pivot. But I do feel this whole week will be extremely volatile, but at the end of the day, it will be somewhat stagnant, staying between this pivot and this S1. Let me know your thoughts on that. Do you disagree? Do you think that is going to be a bloodbath? I have no idea why, but on social media, some people are feeling that Monday is going to be more of a black swan type of event and just have like a 5% across the board red day. So what's your general thoughts on that? Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. Hopefully everyone's having a kick-ass weekend. One final thing, pop over to my Patreon. I give buy signals on stocks, options, crypto, many of which have been absolutely on point. So definitely worthwhile to pop over there and take a look. With all that, appreciate all of you watching.